Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen, to a very special episode of the Deep Impact Podcast. Once again, I'm your host, Mr. Bo Walker. I don't know why I winked. That was fucking weird. I apologize. But I am joined by Mr. Jason Cephas. And no, this is not a WWE episode.
It's
It's
not.
hockey talk.
For once, it's me and you, and we're not talking wrestling.
I know. I mean, we could. We absolutely could, but we won't.
Give it 15 minutes, and we'll see where we're at. But
Exactly. Yeah. This might turn into a WWE episode, but no, this is a special hockey talk episode going into the Stanley Cup championship. Actually, it's happening starting this Saturday. Correct, Jason?
yep, game 1 Saturday.
All right. So before we get started with hockey talk, make sure you go follow us on our Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, our YouTube, All Deep Impact Podcast. Our You can watch us on YouTube, listen along on Apple Podcast, formerly Anchor, now Spotify for podcasters, and Spotify. Just search Deep Impact Podcast and you'll find us there. But yeah, just make sure you follow us on there. It'll keep you up to date on all of our episodes. And
Linktree link will be in the description.
Yes. So without further ado, I'm going to turn the episode over to Jason because he knows hockey, and Jason's going to cover the road to the playoffs, the road to the Stanley Cup, and I'm going to cover gambling. Shocker. All right, Jason, let's get into it.
Yeah, so it is down to 2. The Stanley Cup playoffs now heading into the Stanley Cup final. Notice final, not finals. There's one series. It's always one of my biggest pet peeves when it comes to sports. Anywho, we are down to 2. The Florida Panthers and the Vegas Golden Knights. We'll start off with Vegas because I think Vegas is a little bit of the more common pick, I guess, to be in this position. So Vegas started off against Winnipeg, beat them in 5. Edmonton and Connor McDavid and Leon Draisaitl beat them in 6. Went up against Dallas, went up 3-0, and lost 2, but didn't matter. Won in 6 games. And this is now becoming a little bit of a trend with them. This is only their sixth season, and it's their second Stanley Cup Final appearance. I think it was their 4th Western Conference Final appearance. So, I mean, it's to have that level of success early on into. I mean, there are teams that have never even seen the second round.
Yeah.
Like, let alone the Western Conference, let alone the conference finals, let alone the Stanley Cup final. So it's just what they've done and the team that they've built. And this team looks so much different now than what they initially drafted, coming out of the expansion draft when teams gifted them a really good team right out of the gates. And they went out and got guys like Jack Eichel, who is currently their Conn Smythe favorite for playoff MVP. Eichel's got 18 points in 17 games played. And what a journey it's been for him. Taken second overall by Buffalo, obviously, behind Connor McDavid. It doesn't work out in Buffalo. He doesn't make the playoffs at all, and then it ends with him needing a surgery done. Buffalo doesn't want the surgery done. Just the way it all went down was just so ugly. Just so ugly between both teams. But Eichel got what he wanted. He got out of Buffalo, landed in Vegas, and he's ripping it up in the playoffs right now. And one of the big storylines for Vegas heading into this series is the goaltending. So it initially, to begin I don't want to say all regular season, but the majority of the regular season, it was Logan Thompson in net. Logan Thompson got hurt to begin the playoffs. Then enters Laurent Brossoit, who also got hurt, landing them on Aiden Hill, and not NHL, probably most likely, I don't want to say most likely he is going to be a Hall of Famer. Jonathan Quick, you got him sitting on the bench still. Aiden Hill has taken this team on his back and has carried them. He is 7-3 and a goals against of 2.07 and a save percentage of 0.973. Those are ridiculously good numbers. And for a guy that wasn't even meant to play, I bet you he wasn't even expecting to play, given he's got Jonathan Quick right, I would say ahead.
Yeah, absolutely.
So just an incredible run by him and an incredible run by Eichel. But will it end with the Stanley Cup, or will it end in defeat like it did in 2018? As we move on to the east side of the Stanley Cup Final, the Florida Panthers, the story of the playoffs so far. If it wasn't for the Penguins blowing the last two games of the regular season against Chicago and Columbus, mainly the Chicago one, I just like to throw the Columbus one in there because it still makes me angry. But if Pittsburgh doesn't lose against Chicago, Florida doesn't even make the playoffs. That's how close they were to not making the playoffs. But clearly, seeing the run that they are on right now, they deserve to be in the playoffs. They are a much better team than what they showed in the regular season. Keep in mind, this team won the President's Trophy last year in the regular season. So this was a good team already. They just severely underperformed in the regular season. So they enter the playoffs, and they got Boston, the reigning President's Trophy winning team, the team who put up the most amount of points ever, the greatest regular season team of all time, and it was
my
all
pick
for
to
nothing.
win.
Yeah, you and a lot of others.
Yeah.
Down 3-1 in the series, Florida comes back and wins it in 7. And that was kind of the launching off point at that stage. When they got through Boston, who knows what could happen. Second round, they get Toronto, a team who second round has been very foreign territory for them. They beat them in 5. They obliterate them. The good old gentleman's sweep. They let them get 1, but for the most part, that series was just men versus boys at some points. Like it was insane just how much they just rolled all over.
Yeah.
Third round, they get the Carolina Hurricanes. Very tough team. Rod Brind'Amour, one of the best coaches in the league, arguably the best coach in the league. They work their tails off, and they get swept by the Florida Panthers in 4 games. And it's insane. It's insane what this run has been like for them. Not even, again, almost missing the playoffs. If they would have missed the playoffs, it would have been a massive failure because this team is a good team. I don't think anybody expected them to go on this type of run, but here we are. So this is Florida's first appearance in the Cup Final since 1996, which was the famous Year of the Rat. If you don't know that story, I'll tell you real quick. So, way back in 1996, the Florida Panthers used to play at the Miami Arena, and it wasn't the best building. And in the Panthers locker room, there was a rat. And Scott Mellenby, who was a member of that 96 Panthers team, wound up with a slap shot and took the rat out in one hit, and it created this giant thing where every time Florida would score, the fans in Florida would cover the ice in rats.
What the
Fake
fuck?
rats. Fake
Okay,
rats.
fake rats.
Fake
Okay.
rats. Yes, fake rats. But there were some real ones, including like boxes of like rat poison. Like they
No shit.
they went hard for this, and you still see some today. You still see some today. I'm sure. I'm sure once if Florida wins at home in the final this year, you will see a lot of rats on the ice. So pay attention to that. But that was your little history lesson of
I like it.
the 1996 year of the rat, the last time the Panthers were in the Stanley Cup Final. So we talked about on Vegas' side, we talked about Jack Eichel and his Conn Smythe playoff MVP favorite. But if Florida wins, it's between two guys, Matthew Tkachuk, Sergei Bobrovsky. We'll start off with Tkachuk. 21 points, 16 games played. He has absolutely carried this team through through Boston, through Toronto, through Carolina, through the I got to pull the stat up real quick. So, he has pulled them through Boston, Toronto, Carolina. Boston in the regular season finished first place, Carolina finished second, Toronto finished fourth, and Vegas finished fifth. So if Florida wants that Stanley Cup, they would have to beat 4 out of the top 5 teams from the regular season.
Wow.
So who's to say they can't get 4? And with the way Tkachuk is playing, I mean, wow. My God. Just, he is a menace out there. Like, just in your grill 24/7, just an incredible player. And coming over from Calgary, like, no one expected the trade to be this good for Florida. But here we are. When you talk about the Conn Smythe Trophy this season, you cannot leave out Sergei Bobrovsky, Mr. $10 million, who is absolutely earning every bit of that contract that so many people, including myself, dogged on him for years. But he is on an insane run. 11 wins, 2 losses in 14 games played, a goals against average of 2.21, and a save percentage of .935. Both of those goalie stats are very, very good.
Yeah.
So I don't know what type of series we're gonna get. It's gonna be close. I think it's going at least 7. As for who's winning, I have no idea. I keep going back and forth. I've said Vegas since the playoffs began. I said Vegas. But Florida kind of leaving me in a tough spot, because are they the team of destiny like the 2012 LA Kings?
I mean, there is that option, man.
The 8th seed LA Kings in 2012 go all the way to the Stanley Cup Final, and they
Yeah.
So is it one of those type of stories, or is it a story like the Nashville Predators, where again they barely squeak in, they get by the first round, and then they just take off from there, and they go all the way to the Stanley Cup Final, but they lose?
Yeah.
So I keep going back and forth on what I think is going to happen. I think it goes at least 6. I would not be surprised if it goes 7.
Who are you thinking? Give me your heart pick right now. Give me your heart pick, Jason.
I don't know, dude. I'm so torn. It could go either way. It really could. Is legitimately, this is one of the most compelling Stanley Cup Finals that we've had in quite a long time. Like, I mean, like I said, you got two teams who have never won the Stanley Cup before. Only the
Yep.
seventh time that has happened since the NHL acquired the Stanley Cup way back in 1926. Only the seventh that two teams are playing in the Stanley Cup final to win their first Stanley Cup.
Yeah.
So I don't know. I don't know. It's going to come down to how does Vegas match up against Florida's kind of in your face. I don't want to say tougher style, but we saw it against Toronto. Like they just bullied them. They pushed them around, and Toronto had no pushback at all. Vegas has some pushback, so I just don't know. In terms of
Yeah.
like star power, see, that's where I think Carolina lost. Carolina and Florida are very two similar teams. Two in my eyes at least. They play
Yeah.
similar styles. They're both physical, they're in your face, they're, you know, very defensively minded, and Florida swept them. And it's because they had a player like Matthew Tkachuk, who is that upper echelon type player where Carolina doesn't necessarily have that.
Yeah.
Vegas does. Vegas has Jack Eichel. They have Mark Stone. You know, you can go down the list for Vegas. They have the studs. They have the superstars to do it.
Yeah.
But do they have enough
So
to get past Florida?
betting wise, this is a very close line.
Oh, I know. Oh,
I
I
mean,
know.
going off of FanDuel, I mean, Vegas is the favorite at minus 125. Florida is very close at plus 105.
Mm-hmm.
So I mean, it's a very close game, and that's not just for game one. That is for the entire series.
Yeah.
Just for reference, to open the season, Florida opened the season at plus 850. Vegas opened at plus 1900. So I mean, and now if we're going back just to game one, all right, going off of FanDuel, Vegas is favored minus 134. Florida's plus 112. Um, this is a very interesting time for betting right now because we also have the NBA playoff or the NBA finals going on at the same exact time. I
Mm-hmm.
apologize. Your Boston Celtics did not make it in. I apologize.
Yeah.
I did win. I did win money off Miami making it. So I'm still riding that Miami Heat train. All right, and I'm actually gonna do a little future bet here. I just put it in plus 822 Miami and Florida to both win the Stanley Cup and the NBA Finals.
I mean, hey, they like I said, who knows? Who knows what?
Exactly.
I mean,
I
what
mean
a time! What
it's
a time to be in Florida, though, as a sports fan.
oh my gosh.
I
I mean
mean,
you got the Panthers playing in Fort Lauderdale. You got Miami in Miami. I mean you got a cool like 2 hour drive in between these games. One's
you've
tonight, one's on
and
Saturday. Come on.
and let's not forget, you've got the Rays who are playing.
Yeah, the Rays are pretty damn good too this
Yeah,
season.
you got the Rays playing good, and let's not forget the last 3 years, the team to come out of the East and go to the Stanley Cup Final,
Has
the
been from
Tampa Bay
Florida.
Lightning. So
Yeah.
it's and the term non-traditional hockey market gets thrown around a lot,
Yeah.
and I cannot stress this enough. This is good for the NHL. This
It
is
is.
so good
It
for the
is.
NHL. Like the same way that Florida was able to capture fans way back in 1996, they're doing the same thing here.
Yeah.
Vegas was able to capture their fans right out of the gates and go all the way to the Stanley Cup final. And that city's been hooked on Vegas. If you go, like if you talk to anybody who has been to Vegas or is from that area or whatever, they will all tell you that no one cares about the Raiders. Like it is, they are all in
Hockey.
on the
Yeah.
Vegas Golden Knights. Like
Yeah.
it is, from what
Hey,
I've heard, like it's something. I don't want special.
couple other quick prop bets here. If you want to go an easy plus 120, like Jason said, you go Jack Eichel, goal scored. It's a half a goal. He scores one goal in this first game, you hit. Him and he's plus 120, and Matthew Kachuk, right? Kachuk, is that correct?
Yeah, Kachuk.
Whatever, either one. He's plus 125. So I mean, those two. I mean, they're. I mean, the next closest one is plus 143. Jonathan Marchessault.
Marchessault, close.
I mean, it's literally spelled March, like assault, but with an E. Like,
yeah.
All right.
Yeah.
I mean, he's plus 143. So I mean, those.
Another little storyline heading into this series. Jonathan Marchessault and Riley Smith both used to play for Florida, so you got coming in here too. So there's a lot of storylines heading into this series, and I am so excited for it. Like it is going to be a battle. It always is in the Stanley Cup Final. It always is a battle, but man, oh man, like this year is this is going to be fun. This is going to be fun. I honestly wish the Penguins were in it.
Yeah.
But hey, stress-free hockey, you can't beat it. I'm going to sit back, turn my TV on TNT, Saturday night, 8 o'clock, Game 1 in Vegas. Will see. We'll see how it unfolds.
I might go down. I might do a quick little parlay here on goals. What? Give me a final score for Game 1.
God. I'll go 3-2 Florida.
3-2 Florida.
Vegas.
3-2 Vegas. Okay.
Yeah.
I'm gonna go. If you want to parlay that together, you don't have to do all 5 goals. I mean that'd be a heck of a parlay.
Yeah.
I mean Jack Eichel to score is always going to be a good bet. He's plus 170. Matthew Kachuk is 150. Marchessault 185. Who'd you say? Mark Stone. He's plus 220. Mm-hmm. So you throw it in an Alexander Barkov is 250. You throw those guys all in together. Yep. I mean that's gonna be a nice little. Parlays are always going to be the harder ones to hit. But I always go with. Oh crap! What am I doing here? I always try and do a little bit of a parlay. Just one, because parlays are what's going to hit you more money than just your money line bets.
Yeah.
But as of right now, money line bet for Game 1, Vegas plus 112, or Florida plus 112, Vegas minus 134. Vegas is the favorite. I'm probably going to. I'm going to take Vegas in Game 1.
Yeah, I think that's fair because typically that's what we see is we see the home team win Game 1.
Yes.
But if they don't, and Florida wins Game 1, hammer Vegas in Game 2.
Yeah.
Hammer Vegas.
Now, real quick, before we leave the betting, the NBA, because this is a good time for NBA betting as well. I know this is a hockey episode, but I mean, you got the Denver Nuggets open the season at plus 2,300, Miami at plus 1,400. Going into Game 1, Denver is the favorite at minus 460, Miami at plus 350. Miami's just coming off of a blowout win against Boston. Sorry. Very tough fought series, 7-game series. Denver's had time to rest. I think Denver's going to be a little rusty. I am going to take Miami in the series, but I'm taking Denver in the first game. Jokic is just too tough. I think Miami's going to bounce back. I think Jimmy Butler gets it done. But yeah, if you want a good bet, like I said, if you want to parlay Miami and Florida, it's plus 820, 822. And if you want to do, let's do it right now, plus 460 or minus 460 for Denver, minus 125 for the Stanley Cup for the Vegas Golden Knights. It's only plus 119. So a $10 bet on that is only going to pay you out $11. So
Yeah.
I mean, it's gonna boost your self esteem, but it's not gonna boost your bank account.
Yeah.
So
And like this is such a tough series to try to bet on just because
it
of
is.
it could go either way. Like, do you pick the hot hand or do you pick the again, I don't want to say safer pick, but
Yeah.
it's just, it's going to be so close. Like it's going to be interesting like in terms of betting. Like who knows what's going to happen? Like it's always difficult. It's difficult enough betting on hockey, but when you
Yeah.
add in a when you have a final like this, two teams that again, a lot of people had on their list as going to the final. The other team, not a lot of people had on their list, but here
Yeah.
they are, and they're red hot. So who knows? It's
Now
said it's gonna be a fun one.
yeah. Now I mean, if you want to throw in one, I'm gonna throw in one other bet. It'll be golf. The Memorial Tournament right now is going on this weekend in Columbus, Ohio, right next to us. But yeah, the Memorial Tournament, Xander Schauffele, or not Xander Schauffele, Victor Hovland is a quick little bet right there. He's plus 2,200. A quick little $10 bet. Be a good bet for you guys. But yeah, I those are all the bets that I got, Jason. Who? So you already said who the favorite is to win the Conn Smythe, and it is.
If Florida wins, it's either Kachuk or Bobrovsky. If Vegas wins, it's Jack Eichel.
Okay. See,
You
I
can
tried to
throw Aiden
find where to
Hill.
bet.
You can throw Aiden Hill in there as well, but I think it's got to be Eichel at
Okay.
this point.
See, I tried to find where to go on and bet, but it wasn't popping up anywhere on FanDuel. It might come a little bit later on in the series. They might add that on, but yeah, as of right now, it's not on there. Hammer the over on goals scored
Yeah.
for
Oh man.
Jack Eichel.
Yeah.
Absolute.
Probably.
The overs plus half a goal. It's not even one. It's not even 1.5. It's a half a goal.
I know, but like I said, man, with the way Bobrovsky's playing, I don't know.
Yeah.
And that's the thing. Like, you got two goalies who are red hot. Like, I don't know if this is going to be a high scoring series or if it's going to be down low. 2-1, 1-0 type of type of
Yeah.
series. Like, I just don't know.
Yeah. Either way, it's going to be a great Stanley Cup playoffs.
Yep.
Stanley Cup Final, NBA Final. It's going to be good. It's a good time to watch sports. Even if you don't watch, the NBA, it's always a fun time. Hockey, just a banger of a time. It's a great time all around, all season, whatever. So,
Yep.
You got anything else, Jason?
No, I got pretty much everything.
All right, man. Then with that, we are going to wrap up for the evening, and we will be back again next week with another episode of the Deep Impact Podcast. And we're going to be talking about more sports, more Fallout, potential spoilers from some of these games coming up here. So, yeah, keep an eye out on our social medias: Deep Impact Podcast, Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, Apple Podcasts, Spotify for podcasters, YouTube. Jason and I are going to be doing more reviews of old WWE podcasts, or not podcasts, Jesus, pay-per-views, which those are always fun. We'll throw in a little bit of our 2 cents, so keep an eye out for those.
Yep.
And yeah, make sure you go hit the bell on our YouTube page so you never miss an episode.
Ba-ding.
There we go.
Can't go really
all right
now, so
yeah, I know. I'm
as good as we got.
Can't hear. Yeah. But yeah, that's all I got, Jason.
Yep.
So
link will be in the description for all that stuff. So
go
check them out.
So we'll talk to you guys again, same time, same place next week. Bye.
See ya.